The stars stretched endlessly across the sky, glittering like a million diamonds scattered on black velvet. In the heart of human space, the capital ship Eclipse sailed silently, its engines humming with steady rhythm. Captain Marcus Hale leaned over the bridge, eyes scanning the holographic displays. The humans had conquered hundreds of star systems, their fleets expanding faster than anyone could imagine. Yet something in the distance felt wrong. "Hale, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Caravan, her voice tight with unease. The words flickered across the bridge screens and alien symbols, then translated automatically. "Do not enter. Leave or face consequences." Marcus frowned. Humans had heard warnings before, but most were from minor civilizations. Nothing had ever truly challenged their growth. "Patch it through," he said. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the alien voice filled the air. The voice was calm, almost polite, but there was an edge of warning that sent chills down the spines of the crew. "This is a council of the United Galaxies. Your expansion is reckless. Withdraw immediately from all non-human territories. If you do not, the consequences will be severe." Marcus smirked. "Consequences? Let them try. Humanity does not bow to threats." Kara exchanged a worried glance with her co-pilot, Enzo. "Captain, we shouldn't underestimate them. The tone, it's unlike anything we've encountered." Marcus waved them off. "We've faced pirates, raiders, and rogue factions. We've always won. Let's move forward." The Eclipse continued on its course, slicing through space at near light speed. The human colonies ahead were rich with resources, and the promise of untouched systems was too tempting to resist. But as the fleet pressed deeper into alien space, strange anomalies began to appear. Communication satellites blinked out of existence without warning, and distant star systems vanished from scanners. "Commander," Kara said, pointing at the holographic map. "Look at this. System Zeta 9, it's gone. There's no debris, no signal. It's like it never existed." Marcus frowned, feeling a cold knot of dread tighten in his chest. "Impossible. That system was fully mapped just last week. Check the sensors again." Enzo tapped rapidly on the console. "I've triple-checked, Captain. The system is completely gone. No energy signature, no planets, nothing." A silence fell over the bridge. The crew felt it, the kind of silence that swallowed words and left only fear. Humanity had always believed in its supremacy, but this was something different. Far from the human fleets, in a hidden quadrant of the galaxy, the alien council observed. A massive starship floated like a ghost, its surface shimmering with energy shields that glowed faintly. The council members, beings of strange, fluid shapes, watched the humans' movements. One spoke in a voice that resonated through the ship's core. "They do not understand. They must learn the cost of arrogance." Back on the Eclipse, alarms suddenly blared. The crew scrambled to their stations as unidentified ships appeared on the sensors. They were unlike any human or known alien vessel. Sleek, dark, and moving with impossible speed, they formed a blockade around a human fleet. "Hale, they're surrounding us," Kara shouted, her fingers flying across the console. Marcus gritted his teeth. "Status report. Weapons ready?" Enzo's hands shook as he replied. "All systems green, Captain. But they haven't fired yet." That was the most unsettling part. The aliens were not attacking. They were watching, waiting. Humanity had never faced a force like this. It wasn't just superior technology. It was intelligence, patience, and control. Marcus pressed a button, attempting to broadcast a message. "This is Captain Marcus Hale of the United Earth Fleet. Identify yourselves. State your purpose." Static filled the bridge. Then, finally, a calm voice answered. Different from the first warning, colder this time. "Your arrogance has consequences, Captain. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. You will learn the price of your hubris." The voice faded, leaving a heavy silence. Marcus stared at the display, his confidence shaken. For the first time in his career, he felt fear, not for himself, but for humanity. Meanwhile, communications from nearby colonies arrived, frantic and panicked. Entire settlements were being cut off, trade routes disrupted. Systems that had been thriving just days ago were now silent. Kara turned to Marcus. Sir, this isn't just a threat. They're taking action. We're being isolated. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment, the weight of command pressing down on him. Alert all fleets. Prepare for full defensive protocols. We move carefully, but we will not show weakness. In the distance, a system previously considered safe blinked out on the map. Even as humans prepared for battle, the Council's influence spread silently, invisibly, across the galaxy. The Eclipse moved cautiously, its massive engines lighting up the void. The crew whispered among themselves, sharing stories of past battles and victories. But none had faced something like this. Not a pirate, not a rogue fleet, not even the advanced alien civilizations that had occasionally clashed with humans. This was different. In the mess hall, junior officers speculated in hushed tones. Do you think it's a trap? One asked. More than a trap, another replied. It's a warning, and if we ignore it, it might be our last. Marcus, in his private quarters, stared out at the stars. The endless darkness suddenly seemed heavy, almost alive. He thought about the message, the price of arrogance. He had always believed humans were untouchable. Superior technology, cunning strategy, endless resources, nothing had ever stopped them. But now, for the first time, he wondered if humanity had pushed too far. Back on the bridge, sensors detected a new anomaly. A wormhole-like distortion appeared at the edge of the fleet's sensor range, pulsing with eerie light. The crew recoiled. No one had seen this before. Enzo muttered, Captain, that's not natural. Something's coming through it. Marcus leaned forward, heart pounding. Prepare to intercept. Keep shields at maximum. And stay alert. Whatever comes through that, it's not here to negotiate. The stars outside seemed to pulse in rhythm with the tension on the bridge. Every officer felt it, a sense that the galaxy was bigger, older, and far more dangerous than humanity had imagined. Then, without warning, the wormhole expanded, and a massive shadow appeared on the sensors. The crew gasped. It was not a single ship, but a fleet, a shadowy armada, unlike anything in human records. Its ships moved in perfect synchronization, silent and unstoppable. Marcus knew in that moment that humanity's arrogance had finally drawn attention. The Council had acted, and the humans were now facing a force they could not hope to fight head-on. Hale, Kara whispered, gripping the console. What do we do? Marcus's jaw tightened. We survive. We learn. And we pray that we have enough time to understand the price we're about to pay. The bridge went silent as the alien fleet approached. The Eclipse and its companions were trapped, caught between fear and determination. Outside, the stars shone coldly, indifferent to human ambition. And somewhere, far from human eyes, the Council watched and waited. The desperate call had been answered. The cost of arrogance was about to be revealed. The Eclipse drifted cautiously through the outer rim of human space. The silence of the void was unnerving, broken only by the softening of engines and the occasional ping of sensors. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the star charts, every system now feeling like a trap. He could feel it. Something was watching them, moving unseen, controlling the path before them. Lieutenant Kara Venn broke the tension. Captain, we're detecting multiple unidentified vessels. They're not responding to hails. Marcus leaned forward, narrowing his eyes. Show me. The holographic display flickered, revealing a formation of dark ships, sleek and angular, moving with eerie precision. Unlike human vessels, they had no lights, no markings, and no signs of life. They didn't just fly. They seemed to glide, as the space itself bent around them. Enzo muttered under his breath. They're not even like anything we've seen before. They're wrong. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Wrong. I don't know, Captain. They move too fast, and yet they don't make a sound. It's like they exist and don't exist at the same time. The Eclipse attempted to close the distance, trying to communicate, to identify, but every attempt was blocked. Messages bounced back distorted, alien symbols filling the screen. And then a new phenomenon appeared. A faint, flickering barrier formed in the space ahead of the fleet, shimmering like a curtain of heat waves. Sensors couldn't penetrate it. Human scanners failed. Even long-range telescopes showed nothing beyond a hazy distortion. Marcus clenched his fists. Kara, can we get a visual? Anything. Kara's fingers flew across the console. Nothing yet, Captain. But sensors are picking up something inside the distortion. Energy readings. Huge. And moving toward us. The crew exchanged nervous glances. No human had ever faced a force like this. No battle, no war simulation, no alien encounter could have prepared them. Suddenly, the silence broke with a warning alert. The distortion pulsed violently, and a bright flash lit the bridge. The crew shielded their eyes as the sensors went haywire. Status. Marcus barked. Enzo's voice trembled. Shields holding, for now. But the readings... Captain, it's like something is testing us. The flash faded, revealing the Dark Fleet in a new formation. This time, they weren't moving randomly. They were surrounding the human ships. But there was no attack, only observation. A careful, deliberate encirclement. Kara spoke quietly, almost to herself. It's not just a fleet, it's a warning. They're teaching us a lesson without firing a single shot. Marcus felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Humanity had always believed that firepower decided the outcome of a battle. But these beings were teaching a different lesson. Control, precision, and fear could be more powerful than weapons. From the corner of the bridge, a small signal began to grow on the screen. It was subtle, almost hidden in the noise. A pulse, rhythmic and artificial, like a heartbeat, but not human. The ship's AI struggled to decode it. Captain, Kara said, pointing, they're trying to communicate, but not with words. It's like a message embedded in energy. Marcus frowned. Energy? Explain. Enzo took over the analysis. It's a pattern, repeating over and over. The AI thinks it's some kind of warning or signal. Maybe a threat. Maybe a test. Before they could decipher more, a sudden tremor ran through the Eclipse. The entire ship shook violently, and the crew was thrown off balance. Warning lights flashed. Sensors showed massive energy spikes nearby. What is it? Marcus demanded. The AI responded in its calm, emotionless voice. Captain, multiple star systems along our path have become unresponsive. Scans indicate disappearance or total energy collapse. Probability of hostile intervention, extremely high. The crew gasped. Disappearance? They had already lost systems before. But this was closer. Right along their course, humanity was being herded, controlled, and isolated. And then a voice, calm but terrifyingly clear, echoed through the bridge, not through communication systems, but directly, as if the words were imprinted into their minds. Humans, you have entered spaces where you do not belong. Withdraw immediately. Your survival depends on obedience. Marcus froze. His hands clenched the railing. This wasn't just a warning. It was a direct psychic intrusion. Humans had never experienced this. It was subtle yet undeniable, a message that left no room for doubt. Sir, Kara whispered, her voice tight, it's like they can see our thoughts, know our intentions. Marcus felt the weight of the words. Keep your focus. Shields up, engines to maximum, and prepare for evasive maneuvers. But evasive maneuvers felt useless. The fleet had already been surrounded. The dark vessels didn't just block paths, they controlled them. Every move the humans attempted was anticipated, countered, or rendered irrelevant. Then the fleet moved as one, forming a pattern across the starfield. It wasn't random. It was a warning drawn in three-dimensional space, visible only on advanced sensors. Marcus stared at the display, trying to interpret it. It's the message, he muttered. Not words. A pattern. A code. They're showing us the cost of intrusion. Kara frowned. A code? Captain, maybe they want us to understand without firing. Maybe this is a test, to see if we'll listen before they act. Marcus's stomach churned. Test or no test, humans had already failed. They had crossed boundaries, ignored warnings, and now the galaxy was responding. Hours passed. The fleet moved cautiously, trapped in the alien formation. Supplies were limited. Communication with distant colonies became intermittent. Panic was starting to creep into human minds. Despite orders to remain calm, in a small observation room, Enzo whispered to Kara, "Do you think they'll attack?" Kara shook her head. "No, not yet. They're waiting, watching, teaching." Marcus, in the command room, stared at the stars. Each blinking point of light was a potential system lost, a potential human life endangered. The arrogance that had driven humanity across the stars now felt like a heavy burden pressing on his shoulders. And then, the strangest thing happened. One of the alien vessels detached from the formation. It moved slowly toward the Eclipse, yet not an attack. Its surface shimmered, reflecting starlight in patterns that made the crew dizzy. "Kara, what is it doing?" Marcus asked. I don't know, Captain, but sensors indicate no weapons deployment. It's communicating, maybe?" The vessel stopped at a precise distance. A pulse of light extended from its hull, forming shapes in the void. It was as if the ship was writing symbols in the air, but the symbols weren't language. They were concepts, ideas, warnings that the crew could almost feel rather than understand fully. Marcus swallowed hard. "It's showing us, trying to make us understand. The price of arrogance, the cost of ignoring the universe." The pulse faded. The dark vessel returned to formation, and the fleet moved away, keeping humans within the corridor of observation. Every officer felt it. This was more than a warning. It was a lesson, and the universe had begun grading humanity harshly. The Eclipse crew spent the next hours analyzing, decoding, and speculating. The more they tried to understand, the more complex the alien logic appeared. It was not technology alone. It was wisdom, strategy, and patience combined. Humanity was being tested not by firepower, but by intelligence far beyond its own. Night fell across the human colonies in distant systems. Messages from families and traders became frantic, desperate. Humans were starting to feel the consequences of their hubris. Every star system they had assumed safe was now in question. Every fleet they had considered untouchable, now vulnerable. Marcus stood alone on the observation deck, staring at the alien formation in the distance. The stars around it seemed unnaturally bright, as if they were being manipulated, controlled. The feeling of powerlessness gripped him like ice. Maybe we've gone too far," he whispered to himself. And far away, in the hidden quadrant of the galaxy, the Council observed silently. No words were spoken, no actions taken. Yet, the humans had been given a first encounter, a test of patience, awareness, and humility. The Eclipse continued its journey, cautious and tense. The first encounter had ended, but its lessons were only beginning. Humanity had seen the shadow of a power they could not fight. A lesson in restraint, humility, and survival had been delivered. The stars shimmered coldly, indifferent to human ambition. And somewhere in the dark corridors of the galaxy, the alien council waited for the next mistake. The first encounter was over. The lesson had begun. The galaxy had opened its eyes to human arrogance. The human fleet moved cautiously, every ship alert, every sensor scanning the emptiness around them. The stars seemed colder now, sharper, almost hostile. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the bridge of the Eclipse, his jaw tight. The first encounter had shaken him deeply. Humanity had thought itself unstoppable, a force of creation and conquest, but now they had tasted the galaxy's true patience and its quiet wrath. "Kara," Marcus said, his voice low, "status on the fleet ahead?" Lieutenant Kara Ven's fingers flew over the console. "Sir, the colonies along our path, they're isolated. Entire systems are losing power, communications down. Some stations report complete sense of blackout. We can't tell if it's technical failure or deliberate interference." Marcus frowned. "Deliberate, Kara. Trust me, this isn't random. We've triggered something far beyond us." Enzo, the young systems officer, leaned forward, eyes wide. "Sir, the fleets, the alien vessels we saw, they're forming new patterns. It's like they're hurting us, restricting our movement." Marcus felt a chill. "Hurting? Like animals?" "Exactly, Captain. And we're the prey." The concept was terrifying. Humans had always considered themselves predators, the apex species of the galaxy. To be treated as prey, it was a humiliation Marcus had never imagined. The Eclipse moved cautiously, following the corridor of observation created by the alien formation. Ahead, One of the brightest systems in human territory shimmered on the sensors. But even from this distance, something was wrong. Planets once bustling with life now appeared barren, their energy signatures muted. Kara, zoom in, Marcus ordered. The holographic display showed devastation. Mining colonies were silent. Cities' lights blinked out. Trade stations floated abandoned. The humans had entered the territory of a power that did not negotiate. It punished. Marcus's voice was tight. Send emergency signals to the fleet. We need updates on all colonies. Every system. Every ship. As the messages went out, the first true act of retaliation revealed itself. Massive energy waves, invisible until their effects struck, disabled smaller ships at the edge of human space. Engines died mid-flight, and vessels drifted helplessly. Some fleets lost entire supply convoys. Chaos spread like wildfire. Sir, it's targeting logistics, not warships, Enzo said, shaking his head. It's precise. Calculated. They're starving us before they strike. Marcus's heart sank. Humanity had always relied on resources, trade, and supply lines. Without them, even the strongest fleet was just metal floating in the void. Kara's eyes widened. Captain, look at this. One of our stations, Vega 14, it's reporting anomalies in reality. Space itself, it's shifting. The sensors can't track it. It's like the laws of physics are being rewritten around them. Marcus swallowed hard. They're testing us, pushing us to the edge, seeing how we react under pressure. Hours turn into tense days. Human fleets maneuvered cautiously, avoiding contact where possible, but every movement triggered another reaction from the alien force. Systems disappeared. Supplies failed, communication satellites vanished, and fleet morale began to crack. In the command room, debates raged. Admirals argued fiercely. We can fight them. We have the firepower. No. Marcus snapped, slamming his hand on the console. Firepower won't work. They are not attacking to destroy. They are controlling, restricting, isolating. We're being punished for arrogance. Kara spoke quietly, almost to herself, but Marcus heard every word. We thought we were untouchable. We believed our fleets, our technology, our intelligence, nothing could challenge us. But we were wrong. The captain took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. Humanity had always learned through victory. But this was a lesson in humility, a cost they had never calculated. Then came the direct encounter. One alien vessel detached from the formation and approached the Eclipse. But this time, it did not glide silently. It emitted a sound, not noise exactly, but a resonance that seemed to vibrate through the very minds of crew. Enzo grabbed his head. I can feel it. It's like it's inside my thoughts. Marcus clenched his teeth. Brace yourselves. Steady. The alien vessel pulsed again, and images began to flicker in the minds of the humans. Cities burning, fleets destroyed, colonies abandoned, families lost. Not as visions of the future, but warnings of what could come if humans did not change their course. Carol whispered, voice trembling. They're showing us the cost, the price of arrogance. Marcus's eyes hardened. He realized the message was clear. Humanity had grown too confident, too careless. Expansion without respect, conquest without understanding. It had drawn attention from powers that did not negotiate, only enforce. The vessel pulsed one final time, then withdrew, returning to its position in the shadowy formation. But the message had been received. Every human aboard the Eclipse understood it, felt it in their bones. Communication with Earth came through next. The first panic reports arrived. Traders, families, colonies, all expressing confusion, fear, desperation. Humanity was losing control of its own empire, and there was no single enemy to fight. The enemy was everywhere and nowhere. Marcus addressed the fleet. Listen carefully. This is no longer a war we can win with guns alone. This is a war of understanding, strategy, and patience. We must survive, we must adapt, and we must respect what we do not yet comprehend. Every decision we make from this point will determine if humanity continues or falls. Enzo muttered under his breath. And if we fail, Marcus's eyes darkened. If we fail, the galaxy will teach us a lesson we cannot ignore. The cost will be unbearable. The human fleet pressed on cautiously. Systems along the way were systematically cut off, energy grids disabled, colonies isolated. It was as if an invisible hand guided the humans, herding them through the dark corridors of the galaxy, always reminding them of their limits. In the observation deck, Marcus stared out at the alien formation. They were patient, silent, unyielding. They had the power to annihilate humanity, but chose instead to control, teach, and humiliate. The humans had learned their first lesson. Arrogance had consequences. And now they were paying the price. Days passed with tension mounting. Supplies dwindled, crew morale frayed, and the reality of isolation settled in. Fleet officers began to whisper about negotiating, surrendering, or retreating. But Marcus knew the Council would never allow humanity to walk away without understanding the full cost. A sudden alert broke the tension. A nearby star system, once considered safe, had gone dark. Planets vanished, fleets immobilized, communication lost. The human fleet was running out of safe space. Panic threatened to overwhelm discipline. Kara turned to Marcus. "Captain, the message is clear. Stop. Retreat. We've reached the edge. They are showing us the end of the line." Marcus's gaze hardened. Retreat is not surrender. Retreat is survival. But we will remember this lesson. Humanity will endure, and next time we will be wiser. But for now, we adapt or perish. The Eclipse and its fleet moved cautiously through the void, every officer aware that each moment of arrogance could cost lives. The alien fleet never fired a shot, but the humans understood the subtle, terrifying power, dominance through patience, control, and intelligence. And in the hidden corners of the galaxy, the Council watched silently. Humanity had been shown the consequences of its hubris. They had paid a price in fear, loss, and understanding. But the final reckoning was yet to come. The price of arrogance had been revealed. Humanity had learned its lesson, but the galaxy's judgment was far from over. The human fleet moved slowly through the dark corridors of space. The stars no longer felt familiar. Once bright and welcoming, they now seemed cold, distant, almost judgmental. Captain Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, his hands gripping the railing, his mind heavy with the weight of command. Humanity had faced arrogance before, but never like this. Never had they felt so small in the vastness of the galaxy. "Kara," Marcus said, his voice steady but low. "Status of the fleet?" Lieutenant Kara Ven's fingers flew across the console, the holographic maps flickering with warnings. "Sir, our fleet is intact mostly, but supply lines are broken. Communications with colonies are intermittent at best. And, sir, sensors report increasing anomalies in the systems ahead. Gravity fluctuations, energy distortions. Even time readings are unstable." Marcus swallowed hard. "So, every system we approach is compromised. Every route we take is dangerous." Enzo, the young systems officer, spoke softly, almost as if confessing a fear he had tried to hide. "Captain, do you think we'll survive this?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Survival is not guaranteed, Enzo, but surrender is impossible. We adapt. That is the only way." The humans had learned one thing clearly. The galaxy would not forgive arrogance. Every step they took, every miscalculation, every act of conquest had consequences. The Alien Council had shown them. Patiently, deliberately, mercilessly. Hours later, the fleet entered a previously uncharted sector. The stars here were strange, twisted, and colors shimmered in ways human eyes were not meant to see. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Kara," Marcus whispered, "look at it. Space itself feels alive." Kara nodded, her eyes wide. "It's controlling us. Every anomaly, every pulse, it's guiding our path. It's teaching us." Marcus felt a deep chill. Humanity had always believed that mastery of technology meant mastery of space. Now, the universe itself seemed to resist them, to bend around them, testing their courage, their wisdom, and their humility. Suddenly, a massive shadow appeared on sensors. Not one vessel, but hundreds, maybe thousands. The alien fleet from previous encounters had returned. They were not aggressive, they didn't fire, but they moved in formations that surrounded human fleets in patterns that felt ancient ritualistic, and precise. "They're waiting," Enzo whispered, voice trembling. "For what?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "For us to make a mistake. For us to act without thinking. For our arrogance to rise again." As the fleet moved, the aliens began to communicate. Not with words, but with patterns, pulses, and shapes that flashed across the void. The humans could feel it in their minds. Visions of destroyed colonies, ships torn apart, planets left in silence. Not as immediate threats, but as warnings, lessons of what arrogance could bring. Kara muttered under her breath, "They're teaching us empathy, almost. Teaching restraint. But it's terrifying." Marcus nodded slowly. "And that's the lesson we must learn. Not by fighting, not by conquering, but by understanding limits." Weeks passed. The human fleet survived, but barely. Supplies ran dangerously low. Colonies that were once thriving now teetered on the edge of collapse. Morale waned, and whispered arguments filled command rooms. Some officers urged rebellion, fighting back, striking before the aliens could react. Others urged retreat, submission, and caution. Marcus listened to every argument, weighing options. Humanity was strong, but strength alone was no longer enough. Wisdom, patience, and respect had become the new weapons. One evening, the Eclipse approached a system once considered a crown jewel of human expansion. But the planets were barren, the stations derelict, and a strange energy field pulsed across the surface. "Captain," Kara's voice was quiet, hesitant. "It's different this time. The energy is like a message." Marcus leaned forward, studying the patterns, and then he understood. The Alien Council wasn't punishing them anymore. They were showing humanity what could happen if arrogance continued. A silent demonstration of power, control, and the fragility of human ambition. Enzo shivered. We've been lucky to survive this long. Lucky and humbled." The captain nodded. "Lucky, yes, but luck alone won't carry us forward. We need to change. Humanity must adapt, or we'll pay the ultimate price." A sudden alert broke the contemplation. Communications from a nearby fleet came through, frantic. The crew described visions, ships and stations flickering in and out of existence, shadows moving faster than light, and energy waves that seemed to bend reality. Marcus's face darkened. "The cost, it's real, and it's escalating. The galaxy doesn't forgive arrogance easily." Then came the alien message, delivered directly into minds of all humans aboard the fleet. It was not spoken, it was felt, a resonance that carried the weight of millennia, teaching, warning, and judging. "Your expansion has disrupted balance. Your arrogance threatens order. Learn restraint or face extinction. The cost is now your own." The resonance faded, leaving silence heavier than any cannon fire. The humans sat frozen, feeling the gravity of their actions, the fragility of their empire, and the power of the forces they had underestimated. Marcus turned to his officers. "This is the final lesson for now. Humanity has survived its arrogance, but the galaxy will watch. Every choice we make now is a statement of humility or a step toward annihilation." Kara looked out at the alien fleet. "Do you think they'll strike next?" Marcus's gaze hardened. "If we repeat the mistakes of the past, yes. But if we learn, maybe, just maybe, we survive. But survival comes with responsibility. Arrogance is no longer our shield. It's our weakness." The human fleet continued cautiously. They had faced a force they could not fight, seen consequences they could not prevent, and experienced a power that humbled the greatest minds of their civilization. And yet, hope remained. Humanity had always been resilient, adaptive, and clever. They would survive, but forever changed. The arrogance that once defined them had been challenged, tested, and punished. In the dark corridors of space, the Alien Council observed silently. Their lesson had been delivered. Humanity had learned, or at least, it had begun to learn. But the galaxy was patient, and the final reckoning was still to come. As the Eclipse moved toward the next system, Marcus whispered, almost to himself, "Have we truly learned, or are we just surviving? Only time will tell." The stars shimmered coldly, distant witnesses to humanity's trial. The fleet sailed forward, wary, cautious, and aware that every act of arrogance could bring consequences far beyond imagination. The galaxy had opened its eyes. Humans had seen the shadow of a power they could neither fight nor fully understand. The lesson was clear. Arrogance had a price, and the cost of ignoring it could be extinction. The human empire had survived, but at what cost? The final chapter had yet to be written.